All right, awesome. Well, listen, we are live with Mr. Joseph Scorese. Is that how you say it?
Scorese.
Geez, I was so far off. That's
It's all
funny.
right.
All right. Well, I like your last name because it says Score SE. So I think that's a super cool last name, like Score. Well, it's awesome to have you here, man. Appreciate you being on the podcast. We're streaming also live into Clubhouse. And man, thanks for joining me on a Saturday.
I really appreciate the time, David. I'm glad we hit it off on Clubhouse on a couple of the last rooms, and bringing this all together with this is really great.
Absolutely, man. Well, a lot of things happening right now. I mean, you can do real quick intro for yourself. Let people know who you are, how long you've been in the business, etc.
Yeah, I've been a little bit in business. I'm in my 24th year in lending. I've been a licensed realtor and referral since 1988. I teach occasionally over the year to year at Temple University at the real estate school for continuing ed for licensed realtors in New Jersey and Pennsylvania. I'm also a multifamily investor. I'm second generation. I own a portfolio up in the North Jersey market. And I live right outside of the Philadelphia market, about 30 minutes out with my wife. And I'm on a slight little vacay down here at the Atlantic City shore. So
Nice.
I'm a direct private lender, and I'm also a certified private lender with the American Association of Private Lenders. Um, I deploy debt financing for 30-year fixed money for investment properties 1 through 4, 5+ units, fix and flip, BRRRR strategy, new construction, revolving construction lines of credit, non-recourse and or recourse lending options.
All right. So, I mean, you guys have a lot of products. We were talking a couple weeks ago about the changes, interest rates, but I mean, you're not doing as much in the residential space, though, right?
I am licensed as a Fannie Freddie loan officer, as well as I'm a BDM for a group where my license is held. All the residential business is currently being referred to a team that I've established there at Crown Home Mortgage. And my license is good for about 30 plus states. And then commercially, which is my hyper focus, I'm licensed in all 50 states, and I'm a regional development manager in the Northeast region here out of Philadelphia. But I'm licensed in all 50 states to do commercial loan for investment properties.
All right, perfect. And so we're going to talk a little bit about how it impacts the residential space as well. But tell us the biggest question right now for people is, what is this increase going to do to the real estate market? A lot of people are concerned. I personally think there's no inventory, so I'm not sure. I mean, the market's not going to crash. Is it going to affect a lot of buyers? Absolutely. But no inventory, man. I mean, what are your thoughts on that question?
Bank REO licensed agents that are very close to asset managers that are deploying foreclosure properties or bank REO properties are foreseeing inventory coming. I see over-leveraged individuals that have taken on, I would say, more that short-term rental environment might be over-leveraged because I think inflation is going to steer a lot of that experience of short-term rental down in volume. So they're going to have to sell off a lot of those properties over the next 12 to 24 months because inflation is forcing that experience limited in some areas in the markets. I see rates now above 5% on a 30-year fixed. And on the commercial side, you're now looking at 5s or light 6s, depending on credit score, asset type, debt leverage, experience. And you're visually seeing the reset of a 10-year cycle.
Well, let me ask you this, because when I started in real estate, rates were 7%. I was talking to somebody the other day, started in real estate. He started at 11%. So, is this a 5% rates really too high? I mean, should they have ever gone down to 3% in the first place?
I don't think we should have saw that was a very fictitious window of rate. The banks ran extremely thin. The 10-year treasury was like a half of what it was now or a quarter of what it is now. you have an inversion of the 5-year bond and the 10-year bond for the first time in over 40 years, which the last time this happened, it was a recession in 1983. So if you watch the data, are we in a recession? No, but was there a lot of money printed that doesn't match up? I think so. You're starting to see some of the regional banks having some stresses. You're also starting to see some of the non-QM lenders that weren't part of the last mortgage crash of '08 having some issues in setting rates and terms. And I've seen in the past week or two retraction by certain non-QM lenders where if they closed on some of these loans, they would have lost millions of dollars, and they had to literally cancel loans and require these borrowers to resubmit the loans at a new rate price, worst case market.
Yeah, I think that might be one of the biggest challenges you're seeing right now with buyers that running around with these pre-approval letters that they're at 3.5%. Now all of a sudden they don't qualify anymore. We're definitely seeing that. I also want to bring you back though to something you said earlier, because I don't listen. 2008, we're not going back. It's not going to be like that. I mean, when you talk about the REO assets or the the bank-owned properties, I don't think it's going to be anything close to what happened back then. But I do agree. There's going to be some more inventory coming.
I think there's an opportunity here as a landlord and as a real estate professional investor to take advantage for the first time true asset-based lending, debt service coverage ratio opportunities like there's never been before. And it's going to impact the consumer buying power and the consumer concern of rate because, again, most of your buyers in this market have been hearing about the 2-3% rates, and now they're looking at rates between 5% and higher, where now also Fannie, and by the way, the chairwoman put in her resignation as of May 1st.
I'm getting some feedback, Joseph. I'm not sure where it's coming from.
I'm going to come off of Clubhouse.
I don't think it's Clubhouse because Clubhouse is your mic's closed, man.
Yeah, it's a little bizarre.
Oh, are you on the same device? Or no, you're on two different.
Yeah, I'm on the same device.
Oh, really? Okay, I didn't know you could be on the same device. So
yeah, so basically, I see a landlord opportunity here, and I think what we're gonna see is landlords buying properties and renting back to the people that they're outbidding, and that is the first-time homebuyer consumer. And 50% of your consumer that's buying homes to live in are millennials. So they'll wait off because they have time to kind of look at the American dream a little differently. So it's just going to be a very different market. I think you're going to see heavy landlord influence over the next 12 to 24 months. There's about $4 trillion worth of money being pushed into the private lending space to provide for asset-based lending, acquisition, and refinance. So I feel it's really going to be a landlord play over the next 24 to 36 months.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that because my tenant, I've had the same tenant for like 3 years now. He's a really good tenant, pays rent. I've never missed a month. Well, in COVID, I worked with him a little bit when he first got laid off, but he's leaving. He let me know he's leaving the end of June. So I'm thinking now I'm in this place. Do I sell the property? I mean, I probably got $100,000 equity I could pull out of it and do something else with, but it's like, what else am I going to do? Or I can jack the rent up another, $300 or so, and I'm going to be making about $700 a month from one unit. So I'm in that place where I think a lot of landlords, just like me, are torn. Do I sell it and then try to find something else, or do I just, bring the rents up? And it's like bringing the rents up is tempting to me.
Well, rental appreciation is in double digits. In some markets, almost close to 40%, depending on where you're at. So anywhere between 14% and 40% of rental appreciation in the past 12 to 24 months, it's hard to walk away from that cash flow. But you're correct, David. Where do you take that money and put that into a place where you could feel comfortable, where you're going to get a better or as good return on your investment? That would be a concern of mine if I was a investor or landlord at this point starting off. Do I stay in my own backyard and playground, or do I scale up and go into an out-of-state environment to an area that I'm not familiar with and have to build my power team in an out-of-state landlord environment to build my cash flow out? Do I find new markets that maybe others are not thinking about, and finding a better barrier of entry to take that 100,000 and split it up with 3 properties instead of 1? So leveraging and debt service coverage ratio and cash flow are going to be very, very important evaluators in where you invest. Will that be the Northeast region? Will that be the Southwest? Will that be the Midwest? It really depends on the barrier of entry, depends on the debt service coverage ratio of the project and the product and the property itself. So that 100 grand could go toward 3 properties in some markets, and that might only go toward one asset in one market. So it all depends on where you want to take that money to and how you want to kind of leverage it out.
Yeah. Well, and that's my concern. I was saying to my wife earlier, like, well, we don't want the money sitting in the bank, and we don't want to pay taxes, right, on the money. So it's tough. And I met with a guy, here's a huge mistake I made. In 2013, I could have bought a 4-family. I was the listing agent on it, REO property. I had the listing. It was a Bank of America. And I was focused on the 14, somebody double-sided it. I could have bought it myself, but instead I was focused on the $14,000 commission. Okay, that property sold back then for $240,000. I coincidentally met with the owner about 3 weeks ago. He was thinking about selling it. Now listen to this. He bought it for $240,000, put $150,000 into it. He's into it for $390,000. He's collected about $15,000 a year for rent for the last 9 years, and the property's worth close to $800,000 right now. Meaning, on the same transaction, I made $14,000. He's going to make $476,000. I mean, if that's not a mistake that will wake anybody up, I don't know what is. I mean, anyway, that's kind of like, now I met with him. He can sell the property for probably $800,000 now, but he doesn't want to. He doesn't, because same as me. He's like, what am I going to do with the money? Pay gains tax, sit in the bank and lose money. So it's an interesting time, man.
Yeah, I mean, I'm seeing a lot of my more experienced landlords. They're cashing out and they're leveraging up, and they feel that there's going to be inventory coming over the next 12 to 24 months, and there is going to be obviously an absorption by first-time home buyers and consumers that want to buy their own primaries. But there is a new influx of landlord opportunities because of asset-based lending and debt service coverage ratio lending programs. And the private lenders are lining up these direct pricing engines, such as we have one at LendingOne, where we could price out that loan instantaneously and interface with the client right away to get terms done. And it's definitely a different type of loan product because it's a lower documented loan, not meaning that we just turn a blind eye, but the underwrite is different. It's quicker. The rehab loans, meaning the bridge loans for rehabilitation of the property, are quicker. So we're different than hard money. We're definitely different than bank financing. It's really our own lane in our own industry. And when I saw the market turning about a year and a half ago, I was kind of writing on a wall. I've been in regional banking for over 20 years, and I said, this is definitely not going to stay this way. And I started, having meetings with various direct private lenders, and I felt comfortable with LendingOne and who they're backed by, and it made a lot of sense. And I was very impressed with the CEO and the operations, and they have a finger on the pulse of what's going on. And our weekly meetings are extremely detailed. There's a lot of data being provided, and really that's a reflection to give back to the real estate professional today, to keep them in the know and to help strategize and scale and pivot them when they need discussions of strategy. And that's for having the level of experience like we have, Dave. We have a few more circles around the tree stump where we've been transactional a lot longer than the current maybe the industry professional in the field. When you're 20 plus years successfully in your industry, you've seen hundreds, maybe even thousands of transactions. So you've seen the good, the bad, the indifferent.
Yeah. And I missed out on a lot of them, unfortunately, too. And, so I'm not doing that anymore. But so, and here's another. So, actually, you know what? I'm going to open it up to Clubhouse, though, because we've got a bunch of people in Clubhouse. So, by the way, if you're on Clubhouse, hit that little square box with the arrow. Let's share. in the hallway. We can get some more people into the rooms. Every realtor needs to be listening to this conversation. Anybody in Clubhouse? Joseph can hear you right through my mic. Let's. Who has a question? What question did you have? Give me a mic flash. You look like. Was that you, Al? Did Albert flash?
Yeah, that was actually a mistake, David. I had a comment, not a question. Sorry.
Sure. Well, I know. What's your comment? No one else is opening up, so.
Okay. To your point about interest rates going to 5, is it going to make a difference? I mean, some people might get out of the box a little bit, knocked out because of that. But how many offers are there on every property nowadays? 3, 5, 7. So the data is not going to show that person that didn't get the property. The data is going to show that property is still sold at X amount. So it's not going to change the stats at all. It's not going to change the property inventory situation of being, the least amount of inventory we've had in a lot of years. And I just had an idea for you as far as what to do. I have a seller that's putting 30 properties in the market right now. And he's got renters in every one of them. A lot of them are Section 8 guaranteed rent. And I asked him, why are you doing that? You got a lot of income. He says, I'm never going to get the price I can get now for these properties. I'm going to cash out. I'm going to put it somewhere earning 3%. And then when the market goes back or corrects itself, I'll jump back in. I guess time will tell to see if that is going to be a smart move or not,
Yeah.
But that's his strategy. So,
Sure.
And you might want to consider self-directed IRAs for your properties too, and try to defer some.
Just open one.
All right, there you go. So you're on the ball. I'm doing it too.
Yep.
I'm going to purchase them all through the 401 Roth K and run with that. So that's it for me.
It's a good point. That is actually a really good point. It's something else I've been thinking of too, is like the unit that I have. It was built in 2005. So we're coming up on 20 years, and I built it so it's going to need some of the stuff. So I'm thinking, I need to do a kitchen. I probably need to redo the baths just to clean it up. It's been a rental property for, probably 15 years. I lived in it for a couple of years and then rented it. But I need to put some money into it. So with a rehab, I was thinking of rehab, do like I could pull some money out, or I could just do a rehab loan. But either way, I can't even get contractors.
Yeah, you do have some serious moving parts when it comes to general construction labor shortages and quality of labor. You have material cost shifts, and you definitely have some very serious supply chain issues that are upon us, almost completely nationwide. So these are definitely contingencies you have to take into account when you're evaluating properties, specifically for BRRRR or fix and flip. If you're not throwing 20% contingency on shifts and pricing, you're not really penciling correctly the end result in a positive way on any type of rehab in today's market.
Joseph,
another thing, go ahead.
I mean, with rates at 3%, it's easy to justify, but when the rates jump to 6%, does it even make sense to do a rehab loan? You might as well just use your cash, right?
Well, it's funny. We have an incentive right now in LendingOne to do more rehab loans than ever before, because the money there, the cost of the money, has not gone up in compared to the 30-year fixed stabilized loan. So there's obviously there's an awareness of restabilizing as much inventory that's needed, that's out there, that needs to be addressed. Oh, we got another young fan in here. That's great, David. And so I don't think pricing and rehab money is going to shift much. I think there's a lot more money being deployed for new construction, build to rent, build to hold, build to flip, more than ever before. Now, one thing to the gentleman that brought up a very interesting subject, which I have not seen as available than I've ever seen before in the past 12 months, blanket loan, refinance, and or purchase portfolio loan program. I've seen more portfolio blanket loan submissions in the past 12 months than the previous 23 years of my career. That's for a fact. I'm literally submitting a portfolio blanket loan almost once a day to our portfolio department. Hello. And trying to evaluate debt leverage on those type of loan portfolios.
My 4-year-old Penelope's here. She wants to say hello to everybody. So just say hi.
Hi, Penelope.
You want cereal? Well, here, Samara, help her with some cereal, will you?
Hi, Penelope.
Shawnee said hi too. All right, girls, I'll
I
be
think
out.
I scared her.
No, she just she likes to pop up. All right, cool. Let me get let me get back to this. Hey, that's the cool thing about being a family man, right? Your family pops in and you put them right in the middle of the podcast. So I love it. You know, it's funny. I was on with James Altucher and that happened. And anyway, and now it happened again, Joseph. So, all right, let's see. Do we have any other questions from the Clubhouse crew? By the way, Clubhouse, you guys, I mean, come on. We've had 50 people in the room. We got 32. You got 5 shares. You guys can do better than this. I mean, Joseph's pouring into you. Let's hit that little square box. Let me walk you through it. Hit the box. Then you go on the 1, 2, 3, 4th tab down. Click share on Clubhouse and just say something. I don't care if you want to put fire emojis in there. If you're in the room, do that. It helps us grow the room. So
I can't hear you.
you can't hear me?
Hang on one second. Hello? Are you there?
I am here. Yeah.
I can't hear you, David.
All right. Does anybody in Clubhouse have any questions?
Yeah, I got one. If you don't
David,
mind.
I can't hear you.
Yeah, Joseph, it's on your end, bro. I don't know what to tell you. All right. I think we might be losing Joseph. But Tony, what's your question, man?
Yeah, hey guys, thanks for having me. My name's Tony. I live in Bend, Oregon, and I'm kind of a new real estate agent here. So this is
David?
a little bit less of an investment
I can't
side.
hear you. I'm going to have to log in and log back in.
Yeah, log back out and back in. Sorry about that, Tony. What were you saying?
Yeah, no worries, no worries. There's a little bit more on the realtor side of things. I've been in for about 3 months now, licensed. Had a few deals. It's going pretty well, but obviously, a little nervous with this whole change in the market. Just had a question for some of you guys that are legends out here, been doing it for a while. Should I change my strategy? I mean, how should I proceed? Right now, I'm just kind of looking for listings. That's my grind right now. We have a very low inventory in Bend. It's a super hot market. I've been able to get a few listings just by calling FSBOs. But yeah, what would you say for someone like me who's new? Like, what should be the strategy in this changing market to be able to kill it?
Yeah, man. I mean, listen, you just listed my playbook. That's it. I mean, I don't have another playbook besides listings. So 100% go for the listings.
Cool. What strategy would you mind sharing? Anything other than me finding them for sale by owners and just cold calling? Anything that you would share, on a platform like this?
Yeah, I mean, I do a lot of rooms on this topic because, my club's called Listings Inc., right? I mean, this is all I do. I actually posted a link at the top. We have a workshop happening on Tuesday, the sales execution workshop. And we're actually leading that into a 65-day listing workshop, which is going to go 65 days straight working with real estate agents that want to focus on taking listings from FSBOs, from expireds, from for rent by owners, sphere of influence, distressed properties, everything. So that's the focus, man. So yeah, click if you want, click that. Well, if you DM me and I can send you some information on the workshop, because the listing workshop, I'm actually going to include the execution workshop for free. I'm going to include it. So yeah, if you're interested in joining us, just send me a message and I can get you more details on that.
Cool. Thanks, man. Yeah, I'm interested. I'm hungry as hell. So
let's go, bro. Let's go. You come to the right place, man.
Let's get it. Appreciate you guys.
All right. You got it. All right. Joseph, are you back?
Yes, I am.
All right. Awesome. We can hear you. You can hear us now. All right. Who else has a question for, and Tony, while you were gone, Tony just asked a question like, market changing so much. What should he do? And he hit it. He nailed it. Be the listing agent. I mean, that doesn't necessarily help your cause, Joseph, but
no, I mean,
listen.
No, it does actually.
Not everybody can be the listing agent, though.
Well, listen, listing agent is an art form. You know what I mean? You have to know how to really present yourself correctly, obviously, and you definitely need to be proficient in what lending options are out there for your potential buyers. And it's interesting. I went to a realtor convention in December. And I think I educated more realtors on understanding what asset-based lending was, because a lot of realtors kind of think they know about it, but they really don't know the intricacies to how it ticks, meaning what type of products and programs, what type of asset type. There's some confusion, of course, always when as an industry presents itself And again, private lending's only been around 10 years. And there's only so many direct private lenders. And then there's third-party brokers that are also selling that service through the direct lenders as well. So whether you identify a direct lender or a solid broker, you need to kind of pitch your tent there and get yourself educated with what products are there, what lenders are great at certain products and some that are good at some products. So am I great at every product we provide? No, I would say there's probably other direct private lenders and their pricing might be a little better depending on what time of the market or day of the market at this point, because I've never seen rates being exchanged in the commercial lending space daily in my entire career. So we're now doing a daily rate sheet, just like in the residential side of Fannie and Freddie, on rates in the commercial lending space. That's how volatile the market is right now. So again, you need to kind of circle the wagons with the right direct lenders to get you where you need to go to in leveraging asset-based lending, understanding debt service coverage ratio, understanding your background to grow.
Yeah, I love it, and that's what that's really caught my attention when we were talking a couple weeks ago when you were talking about using a direct lender or a private lender as opposed to going directly to the big banks, right? We can do a lot better.
Well, listen, some banks are definitely having some issues. Bank of America and Santander both announced they're going to hyper focus on commercial lending and kind of get away from the residential lending space. Really? on a Fannie side. Locally here, I've been told that there is a pretty mid-sized regional bank in the South Jersey, Philadelphia market that has not filed their 10K, and they're trying to remove the CEO of the bank right now as we speak. And that could be the first of a couple, I feel, consolidations and moves in the regional banking environment, at least in the Northeast region, to reflect how this market is where it's going. This was just something I found out yesterday afternoon. So it'll be interesting to see the ripple. What's that?
You think there's a lot of fear out there, Joseph?
I think there's a lot of fear in the sense of the banking industry, where it's going, where everybody was hiring just a couple months ago to line up their bullpen in the private lending space or banking space. I think it's now a matter of just keeping your footing and staying present and staying solvent. I mean, I've seen more loan officer shifts in the last 6 months again, and they're all trying to line themselves up with the right programs, the right availability, the right staffing. We obviously, this is an industry like every other industry that has a very serious, experienced staffing shortage. A lot of individuals got out of the business. They got tired. They got burnt out. I mean, the appraisal industry alone took a hammering during the pandemic because they were overwhelmed. I mean, appraisals were taking 30 days to even get an appointment set. I mean, it's come back a little bit, but the entire pie of industry professionals in real estate has taken a hammering, and we're just kind of licking our wounds and getting back on track. And then now you got rates, flying up in all direction, pointing up. It's definitely a concern for a lot of different service providers in the field.
Yeah, it's an interesting time, man. But the reality is there are people buying, there are people selling, and you need to figure out how to get in front of those people. And ultimately I said this on your meeting last Sunday, is we should be the media right now, Joseph, as real estate agents. Like, we need to educate our clients, keep them informed on what's happening. Because if they're not getting it from us, they're getting it from somewhere else. And whoever's giving them the information has their attention. And a lot of times they may be getting the wrong information. So,
well, I'm going to throw this out there. I mean, the media is telling us inflation is 8%. Do you really think inflation is 8%, David? Or do you think it's 20 to 25%?
I've heard it's quite a bit higher than 8%.
It's absolutely much higher. I mean, everything is 20% higher. Filling your tank is $10 more, depending on where you're at, $15 more. So there's definitely an impact. Is there industry professionals making more money than they've ever made before during these trying times? Absolutely. Okay. This is the time to sharpen your skills, get yourself prepared, because you're going into a true hand-to-hand combat 10-year cycle reset. And I feel the savvier individual that's preparing themselves educationally and surrounding themselves with the right power team is going to do extremely well.
100%, man. It's important to invest too. You want to invest in yourself, in your training and your education and what you're up to. I did post a link, by the way, on Clubhouse. It's also here on my profile picture if you're watching this podcast, davidhill.link. And then if you go there, the second link down, it's a 15-minute listings call. So as you know, I focus on listings. That's my priority. So if anybody's interested in jumping on a listings call, I'm happy to talk to you about what we're doing to take listings and kind of give you some ideas and some strategies, and then we can decide if we're also a fit to work together. So if anybody wants to take advantage of that listings call, click on that link or go to davidhill.link and you click on the second tab down, which says schedule a 15-minute listing call, and I'm happy to jump on with you. So Joseph, well, let me see if we got any more Clubhouse. Anybody on Clubhouse? Oh, Dakota. What's going on, Dakota?
Hey, good morning, David. Morning, guys. Yeah, David, one of the things I want to jump in, I love what you're saying about, solving the problems and just how we get in the business. And I hear so many agents just complaining because it's a horrible market. There's no inventory. But guys, it's like shooting fish in a barrel. There's so much potential out there. So I had luck, like, for example, these expireds going a year, two back. When they expired, their house could easily be worth six figures more, depending on what part of the state you're in. I know it definitely is around here. And so I actually got a call where, basically the guy told me he already talked with another agent. Nothing was signed up, but he talked to him, and the guy had advised him to do so much work, like so many projects, again, which means waiting on cabinets, waiting on things that are on back order. When this market, as we know, it's like, let's go. And so he said I could come over and look it out. He wasn't going to sign anything, blah, blah, blah. He took me through the whole house. He showed me what he's going to do, this to the kitchen, this to the bathroom. So we finished it, and I was like, well, what are you expecting with this? And he was, he was hoping to get 680. And I was like, well, I could get you 650 right now if you just stop, like put everything down, do not pass go, do not pass $200. He basically, he kind of didn't believe me. I was pretty confident. We signed up the paperwork. He said, you got 45 days. It took me one reverse email through my office, and we had it under agreement for 650, within just a couple of days. So, and then he called, that other agent called back to see how all his projects were coming. And he was like, it's actually sold, but that's us being proactive and going at it. Don't wait for somebody else to do your lead generating for your buyers.
Hey, David, I'd like to throw something in there. The more heavier active landlords that I'm working with that are doing a lot of refinances and cashing out, they're not having a single problem identifying inventory. I think it's really a matter of how close of your ears to the railroad track. Blackstone, which is, we're a division of, they're buying 1,000 properties a month. So where are they finding these imaginary 1,000 properties a month if inventory is so low? So obviously somebody has their finger on the pulse to identifying inventory. Now, if I was an active licensed realtor, in my market, I'd be identifying all the free and clear properties available in my market. Why? Because that's where you have the most amount of negotiation in selling off that inventory for those individuals. Next, I would go obviously after the individuals that were in pre-foreclosure March 13th of 2020, because that's right before the pandemic shut everything down. Because these guys, now the bow has been shot. Where are they financially? Are they still in the same position they were at in pre-foreclosure March 13th of 2020? I'd also look at probates very heavily. People a high amount of people have deceased due to this pandemic. Where is that inventory right now? And then there's not a foreclosure REO asset manager that I haven't talked to that has not told me it's coming. Okay. And another thing is, go to expos that are geared toward the professional service. Like I'm going to be at the Atlantic City, New Jersey Mortgage Bankers Association meeting. I'm going to get a good idea of where lending is going in the next couple quarters. I'm going to another event in Miami, which is IMN, discussing multifamily and single family through four family residential. And then in June, I'm going to be in Dallas at a private lender expo called Leverage, because you have to stay proficient with your craft. It's very important.
Are you paying for these events, man, or are these free events?
These are events that are either I have to expense or I'm being sent to by LendingOne.
It's a loaded question, man. So you're investing in yourself.
Absolutely. I mean, there's not a time that I don't spend. I probably spend anywhere between $500 to $1,000 a week in progression in my craft. Whether it's social media, whether it's data, whether it's an organization I feel that I have a strong belief in to support and hopefully provide education to the individuals within that organization. If you're not growing, you're shrinking. So it's one or the other.
Absolutely. All right. I think we've got time for probably one more question. If anybody on Clubhouse has a question, we gotta wrap up in a few minutes. So any final questions from anybody? No, we get some cool peeps in here. Shawnee, you don't have anything for Joseph? Shawnee's the one who connected us, by the way.
Yeah. I've known Shawnee probably quite a long time now at this point, right? We're Shawnee about 5+ years, right?
She may not be available right now.
Okay.
So one of the things with one of the oddities of Clubhouse, you call, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But, all right. I think I heard Gus chime in though. What's up, Gus?
Yeah, hey, good afternoon. So just, I was listening.
Your mic's a little low, Joseph. I mean, Gus, sorry. Your mic's a little, yeah, it's low, but we can hear you. But...
You can come back.
No, we're wrapping up. So just ask your question. I didn't know if you could turn it up a little bit or maybe speak louder.
I can't hear.
Yeah. All right. What's your question? I'll repeat it. All right. Well, he's okay. So,
Okay.
Oh, there he is.
Can you hear me better now or same thing?
Yep.
Perfect.
All right. So talking about, it was a gentleman that said something about, I don't know if it's a gentleman, but someone talked about as far as real estate, what would be the best things to do right now. And you talked about focusing on the sellers, which definitely is a good thing. That means you control and you're able to go ahead and get off of buyers too. But as a new agent, I also want to throw out there, if you're able to retrieve buyers too, that's not a bad thing. I feel like on the buyer side, it helps me in tune of what's going on with the market as I show them properties and as I look for properties for them. I want to be in tune with that end also. So having buyers straight out the gate when you're a new agent, I don't think is a bad thing, but definitely want to focus in on getting sellers because that's a key pinnacle part of real estate.
Yeah. So I was lucky. I joined a team, and from day one, they taught me to. He never told me to go after buyers. He told me to call for sale by owners, and within my first 75 days in the business, I already had 2 closings, and then I closed 42 my first year by focusing on listings. So I am not the agent that's going to tell you start off. And again, my conversation's probably not. My conversation's for everybody. It doesn't matter if you've sold 1,000 homes. You've sold a couple listings and now and maybe it's been a challenge or you've never taken a listing in your life. What we do is going to work. So, but I can promise you when you have the inventory, it's like the car. It's the same thing as the car dealership right now. There's no friggin' inventory with car dealerships. So when you're the dealership that has the inventory, everybody's coming to you. It's the same thing. There's a lot of people looking for cars right now that can't buy cars. I hear stories every day. There's a lot of people looking for houses that can't buy houses. So if you have a choice, why would you possibly go on the other side? I just can't see any personally don't see any reason for that. That's my thought.
Hey, David. I think Terrence wanted to chime in there.
Who?
It's Terrence, David.
What's up, Terrence? How are you, sir?
What's going on, man? I'm doing good. I see Joe's probably on you guys are on Zoom or something, maybe doing your podcast.
We are, yeah. We're on a podcast. We're on YouTube, LinkedIn, and Facebook at the same time.
Hey, man, you guys are getting busy today. That's what I like to hear. So a couple of things. One thing that Joe said about Blackstone kind of still picking up houses, right? They're still picking up 1,000 houses a month, and that sounds crazy. But to kind of piggyback off of what Gus said in terms of having a buyer, I kind of want to just touch on that because in the market of all this turbulence, all this craziness, this madness, it's very powerful to be able to come to a seller who may not have been thinking about selling, but have a buyer who is qualified and ready to buy. So I think that's very, very powerful, but you do have to know how to go out and get listings.
You could definitely do that. Agreed.
And so that's really my motto. We've talked about it a couple of times. Is I'm working with a very large cash buyer, and every conversation is asking them about their interest in selling. We bring an offer to show value, and if the offer is not good enough, then we pivot to say, hey, you know, we could always list it on the market to get a higher offer or offer that makes more sense to you. But I think being able to come in with a buyer, and especially when Joe's talking about how the game is changing, the finance game to more investor products, now is a great time for everybody to go find the investors in your market and use those people to hedge and entities to hedge your way into the door of a lot of these sellers that don't want the chaos of today's market. So I just wanted to add that in.
I love it. Yeah, it's amazing. It doesn't, you know, you just said the same thing. You're still going after the listing, right? You're going after the inventory. You're just using the buyer to go after the inventory. There's nothing wrong with that.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that. And there's, I mean, listen, if even, you know, I get it. If you, because ultimately for a house to sell, you do need a buyer. I just prefer always to be on the listing side. So you can approach it however you like. There's a lot of different ways to approach a seller to get a listing. So, but yeah, I mean, having the buyer, that's definitely a creative way. And I think to Joseph's point earlier, you know, you did mention all these, you know, these industrial institutional buyers are buying up these big lots of properties. You know what they're doing is they're just canvassing. They're doing ringless drops. They're doing just yeah. I mean, I get texts every day. Do you want an offer on your house? I've never seen that in my 20-year career. I've never gotten a text asking me if I want an offer on my house. Type yes or no. And then if I put yes, somebody calls me immediately. I mean, so this is what's happening right now.
So a lot of that actually is not, a lot of that's not even the hedge funds and the institutional buyers. A lot of that are wholesalers who understand the market, and those are the marketing strategies they use. One thing I really love about wholesalers is their intentional and their niche and targeted marketing. They know what works, and they just hone in on it. Like, now you make your FISBO calls, you know you're going to make those calls. They know they're going to pull a list, they're going to text, they're going to do ringless voice drops, and they're going to have you know, opportunity. So I think it's just kind of piggyback off of what you say. To get your plan, focus, and be consistent in your plan. There's opportunity out here, regardless of the market conditions.
100%. As a matter of fact, too, listen, I posted a link up at the top. Learn how we solve sales problems, and we have a 65-day listing boot camp starting, and everything that we just talked about is the stuff we're going to be going through in that camp. Everything: absentee owners, for rent by owners, for sale by owners, expired listings, probate, distressed properties, everything. I took wholesaling courses in the past, which is I started using that same process to find listings. So we're going to be going through all that stuff. So if anybody's interested, feel free and use the link to jump on a listing call with me. It's a 15-minute listing call. I want to learn about your business. I want to hear some of the things you're dealing with and find out if there's a fit there. So feel free to click on that and schedule yourself a 15-minute listing call. All right, let me pop it back to Joseph, because Joseph, I got another podcast starting in 10 minutes. So what are your final thoughts? What do you want to wrap this up with? And I want everybody to reach out to you, man. You know, if they have questions, what's the best way that they can do that? So there's two things there, Joseph.
Thank you. So little advice: be precise. Know your numbers. Know what you're buying. Know what the repairs are. Know what the after repair value. Know your numbers. Know your debt service coverage ratio. Be prepared and be confident when you're talking with a direct lender. It's not personal. There's no good or bad news. It's just news. Just be precise. Never take it personally. Okay? That's one thing. Two, if you'd like to have a consultation, please, by all means, give me a call at 215-290-5108. That's 215-290-5108. My email, which is on my profile on Clubhouse, joseph@josephvscorese.com, joseph@josephvscorese.com. And also connect with me on LinkedIn. That's the best way that you're always going to get my attention on there. It's a great professional SEO site to really size up who you want to associate and align yourself with as you build out your real estate power team. Thank you.
I love it, man. And we have somebody on YouTube, Will Patterson, said it might be a good time to represent a builder. 100%. You know, here's something a lot of people don't know about me. When I first got my real estate license, I went after FSBOs, and a couple of those FSBOs were builders. So I ended up winning a listing from them. And then from that point on, even today, I still do business with them. Whenever when they build a property, they call me. So builders are tremendous. You know, if they have something to build. right now it's everything's a little bit more challenging. But the good news is there's business out there, there's buyers out there, there's people that want to sell. You just got to get out there and find them. Joseph, sir, I appreciate you being here today. I appreciate everybody that spent some time with us on Clubhouse. And Joseph, one more question for you, man. Our podcast is called Path to Mastery. What does Path to Mastery mean to you?
Mastering yourself, really having a transformation. I feel like we all need to transform directly ourselves first. I mean, you're only as good as how you live and how you kind of keep yourself in balance. I mean, I as you know, David, I take a very holistic approach to my life, and I think that's very important. When I hear mastery, I'm trying to master my life to be a better professional and a better person when people are depending on me to help them in their strategies, whether it's real estate or finance.
I love it, man. Well, again, everybody, you guys can connect with Joseph. Joseph's pretty word am I looking for? You spend some time on Clubhouse. People can find you there. You gave us your phone number. What's your website again if people want to get in touch with you?
I mean, you could look up josephvscorese.com. It goes right back to my LinkedIn profile. So I'm very accessible.
Okay, awesome. Well, again, appreciate you. Thanks for your time. And I'm going to